If you were a kid in the 80s, this documentary series is a must. Supposedly there are 8 episodes, but only 4 of them are on Netflix as I post this. It starts out with Star Wars, which goes right along with the next episodes of Nerds Drink Whiskey anyways. Then it goes into Barbie, and never being a fan of Barbie or G.I. Joe, I found these 2 episodes still somewhat interesting. The 3rd episode, however, was the most entertaining. Their look at the He-Man toys was a riot. These people behind these toys were either on some really good drugs, completely nuts, or a combination of the two. No spoilers, but if you watch only 1 episode of the series, watch the He-Man episode. In fact, have a whiskey in your hand, because I think they did. Maybe more than just 1 whiskey. Future episodes are supposed to feature Lego, Transformers, Hello Kitty, and Star Trek. But if you were an 80s kid and have Netflix, don't wait. The 4 episodes are streaming now on Netflix and are well worth your time. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. This episode's probably going to get a little more nerdy than usual because we are going to be, over the next 4 episodes, discussing the Marvel versus Star Wars within the Disney umbrella. Today, the big question is Star Wars Disney's Redheaded Stepchild? So we're going to get really nerdy. We're also going to be reviewing, if we can pan over, we got a bottle of Michter's. Now, this is, I believe, the most expensive bottle that we've ever had on the show, other than the Old Pulteney. The most expensive bottle I personally have ever purchased. This was, with tax and everything, it was $180. And at the big warehouse store that we don't mention their name because they don't sponsor us, so they don't get a plug. But we also have, some of you may know that I used to be a music journalist, but and I don't know if these guys are aware of this, but the longer I stay away from the music scene, the more I just decided that I just kind of hate music. And so I really don't listen to a lot of new music. I'm not open to a lot of new music. I've become that old guy that just listens to the same 20 albums over and over again. So, so these guys are going to be plugging their new album, but they're also going to be and plugging their website. We'll have their website down here below. But this is called Pill Brigade, and the name is an inspiration for Medicare for all and making sure that old people get their medications. That's what it's about, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there.
Yeah. Okay. So, because we're not one of those rock stars that actually does drinks and takes drugs or anything, right?
Never. We would never do that.
No.
Yeah.
We're just looking out for the health and welfare of all across America.
That's what it's about. All right. So, but anyways, they're called Pill Brigade, and when's the new album coming out?
We put out the rough copy last summer, and we're gonna be putting up some new stuff here. So it's middle of the year. I'm sure it should be available.
Okay, and we're going to have the your guys' website down below, I'm sure, so people can go there for information on the band and where you can get your music.
Yeah.
And you still refuse to have any guitars in the band, right?
Oh yeah, no guitar.
Industrial without guitars. So that's what these guys do. So
And yet we still manage to make it heavy as.
And the other thing is so so we don't get taken off of certain playlists, we try and keep the language clean. So artistically censor yourself.
We make it heavy as F.
well, the way I like to look at it is, you know when you're watching certain kids' cartoons, and sometimes you'll be watching and going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they put that in a kids' cartoon. That is so vile. And the kids, it just goes way over their heads, but the adults are laughing because it's so crude and vile. That's kind of what we like to do here. It's like, don't go for the easy cuss word. Mm-hmm. Try and figure out an artistic way to. You could be, a little blue, but just kind of be artistic about it. So challenge your artistic abilities. So, but they're laughing, but yet they're a band that produces art. But anyways,
art, he says.
Definitely don't ask us about our side project then.
So, all right. Now, if everybody can pick up their microphone, and me and Chris are going to try and share a microphone. You two share a microphone. That's going to be a mic hog. But so the question is do you think that Star Wars is the redheaded stepchild in the Disney family?
I don't know. That's a hard one. We were talking about this on the way down here because, you know, it's just weird that Disney picked up Star Wars to begin with. You know, it's gonna be a difficult one. Time will tell. It's never really been a redheaded stepchild. It's always been the go-to. You know, so now it's within the Disney realm. So, is it the Lion King? Probably not. Is it Daredevil? No. I don't know. It's a weird combination having Disney be the umbrella. You know, I'm gonna have to pass this one to Alex.
I'm just going to preface just by saying I have an unconditional love for Star Wars. It doesn't matter how...
Which is why you're here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It just... I like Star Wars more than I like most people. So... That's where it's at. As far
is your
as...
baby getting fair enough treatment is the question.
I mean, you know, in a couple of years here, I get to go stay in a Star Wars hotel. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. So, thanks, Disney. You also gave me Rebels and Rogue One, which I wasn't aware until those existed was a Star Wars that is...
Rogue One was amazing. I think we can all agree. Rogue One was...
Like, that is, you know, that's my jam right there. And... You know, all these people that they become a footnote to some whiny blonde farm kid.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's hard to see. It's not like really Disney and Star Wars is a new pairing. Because, I mean, they've been doing stuff, you know, for years with the Star Tours. And I believe that the same company was in Lucasfilm involved with the Captain EO thing, you know, with the... So it really, when they picked it up, I don't think it was much of a surprise, and I don't know. I mean, I could see how people could be like, well, you know, it seems like they care more about Marvel than that, because it's like, well, Marvel, you're just cranking so much out, and it's, you know, so much is there, but
it's all quality though.
It is.
I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody had ever even heard of Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's true.
The comic books weren't that popular, and then all of a sudden those movies come out, and it's like, and I don't know about your guys' opinion. I think they nailed both of them so far.
Yeah, and I definitely enjoyed those, but it's like I enjoyed the second Guardians more than I enjoyed the second Avengers, because I just felt Avengers screeching halt in the middle and like, we're superheroes, but we have real problems too. And it's, I think Guardians 2 did a better job with that, of showing the flaws and that they're messed up people because of what they do. And
yeah.
So
did you like? Did you think, separate from the whole Star Wars fanboy thing, if you can, do you think that the writing on Avengers 2 versus the writing on Last Jedi, who do you think had the better writers?
Ooh. Tough.
What do you guys think while he's thinking?
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to me, you know, I'm fairly young when it comes to the Star Wars universe. I grew up as a small child after all of the Star Wars stuff had been introduced, at least the early, the 4, 5, and 6. And then I was a young kid when 1, 2, and 3 came out, and as soon as Disney took over, in 2012, something like that.
That's a question we'll have to answer on the text down at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I think it was 2012. I think when Kathleen Kennedy took over Lucasfilm, when Disney, I should say, took over Lucasfilm. But honestly, I think it's quite interesting now. There's a bit more comic relief when it comes to the Star Wars universe ever since Disney took over. I think it's doing okay. it's definitely, it's not exactly what I expected, but it's still pretty good, at least in its own right.
Ed, what are your thoughts?
Like Alex, I am a hardcore Star Wars fan. I have been since I was a kid, but I'm also a comic book nerd, or I used to be. So I know all of these stories, and I'm a big fan of both. And of course, with the Avengers, they've kind of changed things up. So there's some new stuff that makes it more relevant to today. But I don't think one is written necessarily better than the other. I like them both. I think Disney and Star Wars is just a perfect match. It gets it out of Lucas's hands. More content can be created, and I think that they're heading in a good direction with it. And I'm excited to see what's coming more. I think they're fleshing out force powers and other things with these movies, and they're giving us a little nostalgia with some new stuff. So I'm definitely a fan of both, and looking forward to more.
Cool. So Alex, you've had some time to think. Which writing do you think is better?
Just from a, just enjoyed it for what it was and story-wise. I mean, I'll go Last Jedi just because it just didn't have quite that just breakdown of just like, and here's where we just, and
Okay.
so,
Even with General Organa doing the Mary Poppins impression?
I thought that was brilliant. Like, that made me happy. Like, I really enjoyed that when the first time I saw it. It just, like, cool. Like, yeah.
It always has to be one,
Of course.
All right. So on that thought, we're going to be digging into, over the month, we're going to be digging into more of the Star Wars versus Marvel. So with these guys, they're going to be sitting here. I'm not even going to let them change their clothes. They're just going to be kept here for the entire month. So, but right now we're going to taste some whiskey. This guy's not going to taste whiskey, but he is going to smell it.
Yes, please.
So yeah, but so we're going to get his opinion on the smell. But let's take some sips. See what we do. Now our theme is, our slogan on this show is always sip, never slam. So and the proper way to drink it is you take a small sip, let it sit in your mouth for a little bit, get the mouth feel, and then swallow. So yeah, don't just. Interesting. Ed, what's your thoughts?
I love the flavor. It's great. For something that's 94.4% alcohol, still labeled 40 proof, has more of a bite than I expected. And definitely infiltrates all of my my sinus cavities, which I really like on that. But it's got a...
94 proof, you mean?
No, it's 40 proof, isn't it?
No,
but
it's
94%?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, I get exactly what I should expect. I thought it said 40 proof for some reason. I was reading multiple bottles, and that's probably why. So, good mouthfeel, a little burn, but that's to be expected from something like this. I was reading on there that the formula goes back pre-Civil War, and apparently they did it right back then. I like it.
Now, whose whiskey are you going to smell? Alex's?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this now?
Now, to be fair, I'm not drinking anymore, but whiskey was my go-to, and I used to drink a lot of it, of all kinds. This has got a really, really smooth smell to it. It smells like it does bite a little bit, but it smells like it leaves a nice little hint of caramel of that oak barrel on your tongue as it's going down. It's got a nice spice smell to it, and it smells like it would warm you up as it's going down, and like it would be a nice cruising buzz and not a Jack Daniel's raging buzz to it. I like it.
I have never been so impressed by somebody getting so much out of a whiskey just from the smell. That is, I've seen whiskey connoisseurs, like serious whiskey snobs, not get as much out of the whiskey and nail. And I think he nailed the way it tastes. His review is as if he did take a drink. So, dude, right there, man, that was impressive. So, I'm going to take another sip here. Yeah, it definitely a good. Now, some of the reviews I've heard on this were that it was a really good. There's nothing really that stands out about the whiskey. Things that certain whiskeys have certain characteristics that will make you either love it or hate it. This is kind of a really good, high quality, safe whiskey. There's nothing really that stands out about it. There's no really unique characteristics, but it's just a good, strong whiskey. It does have a really good finish, less of a burn, more of just a warming. Excellent mouthfeel, great strong flavor, very sweet. Gabe, what's your thoughts?
Well, to be honest, I was really impressed with the kind of almost a hint of caramel flavor to it. The mouthfeel, I agree with you entirely. The mouthfeel and the finish, not too much burn to it. Really, really tasty. Honestly, for a 94 proof whiskey, that I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how well it goes down without that much of a burn. It's actually it's really, really tasty. I would definitely recommend it myself. I just can't think of anything really bad to say about it. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
Okay. Alex, have you given your thoughts yet?
It's really good. Like the whole the bite without the burn. I enjoy that. Like it's grabs you, but it's not just like just smooth.
Yeah. So now here's the big question for all you, and you can go down the line. Like I said, and I've heard this, you can get this as low as 150. I paid with taxes and everything 180. Washington State has a lot of really high taxes on alcohol, which I'm okay with. But so the price 150 to 180. It's good, but is it worth 150 to 180?
That I don't know if I'd go that high on it. Because there's other whiskeys you can get that are cheaper than that you'll get kind of the same reaction to. It might be a little bit expensive for that flavor, but then again, if you've got the money, I'd say it's totally worth it. If you don't care about dropping that kind of money on it, go for it. Would I pay any higher than that on it? No, definitely not. There's other scotches and such where you go higher, no problem. But for that one there, probably not.
Alex, your thought on the quality versus the price?
I mean, I'm not going to drop my own money on it. Probably not. Unless
you're really glad I did. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Thank you. But I mean, it would be a thing like, if I happen to have an extra, the money for it, and just decided to be like, well, why not ball a little bit? Like, I'd pick it up.
Okay. Gabe?
For me, I guess I'm kind of a cheap ass. But I can honestly agree with Alex here. If I had the money to, as he says, ball up a little bit, I'd say I'd be happy to drop at least about $150 on that. That's some good whiskey.
Okay.
This one, I like it, but I certainly don't like it that much. Not to spend that kind of money on it. Kara, who's running the camera right now, she and we tend to buy some high-quality liquor, spend a little money from time to time. Makes us sound like an alcoholic. But I can think
I'm
of...
a hoarder, not an alcoholic.
Yeah, a hoarder. I hoard empty bottles is what I do. But
there's a difference also between being a drunk and being an alcoholic.
Sure. I'm not sure which category I fall into. But I can think of a half a dozen, well, probably a dozen or more bottles that I would buy that are more than half the price of this. And for the price of this, I'd buy 2 or 3 bottles of something else that I would enjoy more. But it's good, just not that good.
Cool. Speaking of which, I think if you can hand me that Hill Rock bottle there. And we're going to do a segment that we like to call After the Bottle. Now, if you remember, I can't remember what the episode of this was, but we'll put it on the bottom of the screen. But we weren't really excited about Hill Rock when we bought it, and especially not for the price. And I finished the bottle. I was able to finish it. And I got to say that my opinion of Hill Rock has not gotten any better. It's gotten worse. It just is not a great drink. I tried it on the rocks. I tried it neat. I tried it mixed with cola. I've tried it in many different ways, and it just it just isn't that good of a whiskey. This is I think going to go into our Hall of Shame, along with Angel's Envy, as some of the most disappointing high-end whiskeys ever. So Hill Rock, sorry, but just not a good whiskey at all. So, but yeah, total fail. $50 down the tubes. Don't buy it. So get Michters if you want to get something high-end. It's Michters, I think. Yeah. So anyways, that's the end of this episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. See you next week, where we're going to be going even deeper on the Star Wars versus Marvel, and covering Irish whiskey, I believe. See you in a bit. See you next week.